Have you ever felt like your life experiences are just a big time vampire where you get caught up between what you need and what you want, yet nothing seems to ever happen on either side? And you begin to feel this pain of nothing ever happening, like you're stuck and nothing is moving forward. In today's video, we'll be talking about how the pain of nothing ever happening energetically keeps success from coming to you and how to overcome the weird paradox of needing versus wanting. This podcast is all about helping you with your spiritual growth so you can overcome obstacles and manifest your destiny to crystallize all things good, basically, to have success on life's journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. So let's get started. Hi there and welcome. My name is Remy, like Do Re Mi. I'm a best-selling author and creator of the Get Unstuck Revolution. I help extraordinary women just like you dissolve the obstacles in your path so you can bring success to you. Now let's get started with today's video. Okay, let me jump off the screen here and switch to my laptop. Today, we're talking about that weird paradox of needing versus wanting. The trick to distinguishing between wanting something and needing something is in realizing that it's the process of putting our actions into motion. When we put our actions into motion, it can change and harmonize our state of existence more so than needing a specific outcome. See, needing tends to be a fixation, it's neediness. By contrast, wanting is a preference that allows us to go into action without becoming fixated and then unintentionally blocking our success. If you'd like to see success in full abundance along life's journey, and if you're wanting to tap into a greater knowingness and align with the higher consciousness of your infinite self, instead of the lower ego thinking and negative thoughts that push success away, then this is for you. It's time to be unabashedly, unapologetically, happily untethered to ego thinking. It's time to align with the higher energies of our soul's path instead. This episode is for you if you wonder how to attract everything to you, how to move beyond those pesky energy traps, how to tap into the infinite options the universe presents. Yes, these episodes are all about how to find your hidden power when you want to transform challenges into successes. I like to call it the audacity of alchemy. Because when we're feeling stuck, it's never the situation that has us stuck, it's our energy about it that's become stuck in anxiety, overwhelm, doubts, worries, frustrations, indecision, and even anger. And often this is because of a spiritual injury that we've experienced, some kind of hidden trauma. So it isn't the pain of our situation, it's the pain of not being connected into the natural energy of who we really are, of being connected to that magical part of us that's a creative vibrational being who can use positive energies to create what we want and bring it into physical manifestation. We can allow our manifestations to materialize and not get stuck in the negative vibrations that block them. These positive energies that we talk about so much are where we find the magic of alchemy, because our choice of frequency, our choice of those positive thoughts and emotions can change the course of our journey. All right, so our experiences are not usually what they seem at face value, but they do create an interesting paradox. And you've heard me say it before that when we're feeling pain, it's not our situation, it's our energy about it that's become stuck in pain and negativity. So, how do we move beyond these energy traps? Well, let's look at an example. Let's say that we feel trapped in a financial challenge. I got an email the other day from someone who said, my goals don't seem to matter. All I feel is tired and worn out, like I'm never going to find success. I really need my financial situation to change. Our challenges and our life experiences, while they're very real, aren't usually what the issue is. We can sometimes get stuck in the needing and wanting, which are two opposing energies. And we begin to micromanage our goals and desires and then get frustrated when nothing ever happens. We literally lock our challenges in place as if they're stuck in glue and we can't get things to move forward. All right. So let's talk about this weird paradox of needs versus wants. For most of us, all of our greatest joys stem from our needs. We need the emotional investment of our business partner, and that's why we get into that partnership in the first place. Or we need the challenge of growth. And so we find a way to develop mastery in some area of our life or business. We need our finances to break loose so that we can expand and do better, more exciting things. These things matter to us, right? And despite the challenges that can almost kill us sometimes, we find them to be valuable when we come out on the other side. And yet, many of these same needs can also be the cause of our frustrations and doubts and suffering. How can we keep from sliding into apathy or defeat? Well, this is where we get into seeing the difference between needs and wants. And maybe you've never considered the differences before. So let me give you something to think about here. As we take actions in our day, are we acting out of a need or are we acting out of a want? Because these two opposing energies can trap our success in a void. Maybe we don't need the emotional investment of a business partner, but maybe we want it because it helps stabilize us or even motivate us. Maybe we don't need the challenge of growth, but we want to feel that sense of accomplishment and maybe even inspire others along the way. Maybe we don't need the financial obstacle that we're experiencing, but we do want to come out the other side smelling like a rose with a better than expected outcome. So when we feel a need, we're feeling a little bit locked into something. We almost become fixated on it. And by contrast, wanting isn't a fixated kind of emotion. Wanting isn't a must have, it isn't locked into a specific outcome. Wanting is choosing to do something regardless of how it turns out, even if we have preferences about how we would like to see it unfold. Now, of course, our basic needs are always important: food, water, shelter. And if we feel backed into a corner like the bank is about to foreclose on our house, well, that's definitely a need. But if we're in a position where we can take a step back and allow things to unfold to the most joyful and prosperous and loving outcome, depending on what our situation is, then we can change our need to a want. We can transmute that energy from a need to a want. And this will help lighten things up so that what we want to manifest can flow easily into our lives. Okay. So we're talking about needing versus wanting. Are we acting out of need or are we acting out of want? Because sometimes we find that things have become locked up or stuck in our life or our business. And when we get locked up this way, we may become so focused on what we need that we're literally frozen. We're fixated. But there is a way out. To get out of this frozenness, we might think of taking some action steps as an example. When we put our actions into motion, it creates movement and momentum. It can change and harmonize our energy more so than being in a lockdown and needing a specific outcome. So, needing tends to be a fixation, while wanting is a preference. If we hold a preference for what we want, then we're in that space of allowing. We can easily go into action without becoming fixated, only to unintentionally block our success. So I just want to point out these two opposing energies of needing versus wanting and how they can trap our success in a void. Not a good place to be, right? Well, there's an old mantra that says, we can have what we want when we no longer need it. We can have what we want when we no longer need it. But is this true? Well, it really depends on our energy about it. Is there a part of us where we've been telling ourselves that we aren't successful? Because we already are. We just may not be aligned with it yet. So, the way to know whether we're on our way to that success that we desire is when we're so aligned with the higher frequencies that everything on the planet's becoming attracted to us. Then success can occur. And that's the paradox. When we no longer need it, it's because we realize that we already have it. It's already given. And when we realize this, when we realize that we aren't separate, then success can come to us because we're no longer holding it apart. In other words, we can have what we want when we no longer need it. And all the negative energies that we experience are ego telling us that we need something that we don't have, or because we're somehow incomplete. Ego. Yeah, it's kind of insane that way. But if we can step outside of this ego thinking and align with our wholeness instead, we realize that we aren't separate. And when we no longer feel separate, then we find that everything in the universe is attracted to us. Now, this is the magic of alchemy, the magic of transformational thinking. Okay. So it isn't the needing part specifically. It's all the negative vibrations that come out of the feeling of need. The negative vibrations and emotions like frustration or sadness, doubts, conflict, the struggle. And we could say the same thing about wanting. If the wanting is stirring up negative emotions about what we don't have yet, it's the same thing. So the idea is to relinquish the negative emotions, relinquish the pain and frustration of needing but not having, or wanting and not having. Just release those negative emotions. When we look at what we don't have, it does tend to stir up negative emotions, right? But when we realize that we aren't separate and that what we want is already given, then we feel more whole. Our energy is no longer holding our desires away from us, and what we want can then move toward us. In looking at what we don't have yet, we repel it. When we can align with these higher frequencies, then everything on the planet's attracted to us. The difficulties we experience on our journey may include a spectrum from mistrust to ambivalence to feeling defeated. And some of these life experiences are far too great to even comprehend that we'll ever be able to move beyond it. I know this, I've been there, I understand. But we must know that the point of these experiences is not to bring us pain. It's not to push us to the edge of insanity like some cosmic joke. These experiences that we go through are so that we can recenter and find our wholeness again, so that we can remember who we are as a vibrational being who can use the hidden power of positive energies to create better than expected outcomes. We do that when we're so aligned with these higher frequencies, and then everything on the planet, including our success, becomes attracted to us. But until we can truly move beyond the pain and negativity, we're not demonstrating our wholeness. And in turn, we can't attract the success that will reflect this wholeness back to us. All right. So let's add another layer on top of this. The number one most important thing is not limiting the universe's ability to bring us what we want. If we decide that success is the only thing that can possibly make us feel complete and happy, then we're limiting the options that the universe has to bring us fulfillment. We do not know better than the universe, period. The universe is unlimited. And that means that there are many ways for us to be fulfilled. Our perception of success may be one way, but it may not be the only way. I'm sure you've heard stories about people who were vying for one thing and some unexpected surprise showed up instead, and it turned out to be even better. And this is why I love the mantra, I'm open to possibilities even greater than I've imagined. In order to allow fulfillment to come to us, we must come to terms with the fact that it can come to us through any number of avenues. There's no such thing as only having one option. There are infinite options, infinite possibilities, and the universe knows no bounds. From our human perspective, it's not easy to come to terms with this. But we are moving beyond the third dimension duality of yes, no, good, evil, positive, negative. We're moving beyond our doubts and frustrations. We're moving beyond the weird paradox of needing versus wanting. We're moving beyond these energy traps that are designed to keep us stuck. And we're moving into higher frequencies of greater and greater understanding, and therefore greater possibilities. This is part of our journey. So let's not entertain doubts. Let's not entertain failure. Let's not entertain difficulties or ambiguity or impatience. All we have to do is just say to the universe, I know that you know what I want, and you can bring it to me through my goals and desires or through any other channels. So show me what you got. And then trust that the universe can deliver because it can. The universe represents infinite possibilities, not just what our limited vision can see. If we're feeling stuck, it doesn't mean that we aren't destined for success. There's a paradox at work here. And the paradox is that we can have what we want when we don't need it because we realize it's already given. It's already given. If we put a needy energy on it, then we're repelling it. All we have to do is just get out of the way. Can I just say this again? It's already given. If we put a needy energy on it, then we're repelling it. So all we have to do is get out of the way. Or maybe a better way to say that is to sweep negative energies and resistance out of the way, because these energies create the energy of need, which is a resistant energy. So, yes, I am saying to move on, to relinquish the pain, to relinquish the doubts and the struggle, to become whole, to stop needing. The paradox is that the moment we come out of the vibration of need, we'll be able to relinquish the doubts and the struggle and attract what it is that we truly want. When we stop the need, we release resistance to what we want. And by doing this, we're actually increasing the vibration of success. These two opposing energies, called needs versus wants, can trap our success in a void. So let's shift our energy into a higher, more positive vibration. Let's move beyond these energy traps that are designed to keep us stuck. Let's align with our wholeness so that everything in the universe is attracted to us. As we empower ourselves towards self expression of who we are at our core without ego's negative thoughts and emotions that can drain us, we're choosing a higher frequency, higher and better thoughts, because our choice of frequency, our choice of more positive emotions and a better perspective changes the course of our journey. So, reflecting back on everything we covered today, how can you apply what you've learned? Do you feel like you understand the difference of needs versus wants? Needing tends to be a fixation, it's neediness. And wanting is an energy of preference. It's lighter and more welcoming. And it allows us to hold the space for our desires to come to us. And that's kind of beautiful. So I'm curious, what were your 3 favorite takeaways? I think my favorite takeaways, one would have to be that our challenges are very real, but they aren't usually the real issue. The real issue is that we're acting out of need. And so we're holding our desires away from us because we've become fixated on what we don't have yet. And I think my number 2 favorite takeaway would be that our negative emotions are a signal that we're in the energy of need. So if we're experiencing doubts or worries or anxiety, then we aren't demonstrating our wholeness. And so we can't attract the success that will reflect this wholeness back to us. That one's kind of amazing. And my third favorite takeaway, well, no surprise that these negative energies are traps that are designed to keep us stuck so that we can get out of them. But we can move beyond these energy traps and realign our energy toward a positive outcome. Just a matter of seconds. It's just that fast. Well, I hope this helps you as you're using the powers of alchemy to transform challenges and obstacles into positive new successes. This podcast is all about helping you have success on your spiritual growth journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. If you still can't get your head around what's got you stuck in life or in business, you can tell me about it. You can send me a question to questions@unlockyourhiddenpower.com, or you may not know that you can get a free copy of my latest book at unlockyourhiddenpower.com. Well, thank you for joining me today, and I'm wishing you a life filled with all the alchemy you need to bring success to you. Feel free to share this video with anyone you know who's feeling stuck, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.